Hey guys, today's video is going to be more of a talkative one. I'm basically going to be telling you my experience at working at Wembley Stadium because I mentioned it in my last video and I'm not going to pretend that everyone commented begging for me to make this. It was only one person that just said, actually I'm kind of interested in knowing what you do there. So I'm using that as an excuse to make a video for it because I know that the age range for my audience is kind of my age, so 18, maybe a little bit less or maybe a little bit above. And I know that's the kind of age when everyone wants a part-time job and this is what it is. So I thought it'd be appropriate to make it and I thought it'd be quite a fun video. I haven't really heard anyone on YouTube talking about working at Wembley Stadium. I literally have never come across it before in my life. So I thought, I'm probably not the first one, but I'll try and be the first one. By the way, me has got a haircut. That looks really weird, but I've got layers this time, which you can probably see from the front. It's got a fair amount cut off, but it just looks the same. Oh well. Anyway, let's go on to the video. The role that I do is called a Club Wembley Connector, and in basic terms I am the person who welcomes people into the stadium and I'm the person who people will come to if they have questions about where they want to go, where they should go to eat, or any other questions that they have about their time during their stay in our stadium. I'm the person that they can come to if they're in trouble or if they're not in trouble and they just want to know where to go, etc. I'm just the person who helps everyone during their time there. I hope that's a good enough explanation of it. So a Club Wembley Connector is a bit different to a general admission connector. I don't necessarily know if there is a division between the general admission connectors and the Club Wembley connectors. I think there is just connectors in general and they deploy us into different sections of the stadium. But a Club Wembley connector is the section of Club Wembley. So Club Wembley is the private members club in Wembley Stadium, and what that means is that people pay a lot more money than the average ticket in order to have that specific seat. Club Wembley includes the private boxes, so I'll try and put like a price range on that. It's like they start, I think the smallest box, so like it has like 6 seats inside, is like 40 grand per year. I don't know if it's per year, but let's say it's per year for our sake. And then it goes up to a lot more money because the boxes can get absolutely huge. But big corporate companies hold them as well, but sometimes it's just very, very rich people and CEOs. There's a Nike box, there's a ЛiZZiee box, there's, I don't know, that sort of thing. So Club Wembley is just the very fancy section of the stadium. It isn't just private boxes though, it includes like the Wembley Suite, includes the Bobby Moore club, it includes just the general Club Wembley tickets, and all of which they are just better seats in general. People pay a lot more money and they get their money's worth, if you know what I mean. They also get like a bigger range of food, higher quality food as well. Because they are paying that extra bit of money, it is kind of our job as connectors to make sure that they have that amazing time compared to other stadiums. So say if people went to the O2, that I don't think there is like a division between general admission and Club Wembley, so that's sort of our special point, you could say. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about applying for the job. It came to my attention when my cousin Samir messaged, no, he didn't message me, he was at my house, and we were talking about his job because at the time he was working in the IT section of Wembley Stadium. So it's a normal application process. You apply, fill in your information, put your CV in, and I was lucky enough to get through to the next stage, which included you sending in a video of yourself. And I actually filmed a video like this, so it was quite funny when I was filming it. Like, I wasn't uploading it to YouTube, but I uploaded it to the email that I sent them, and in that video you have to say what is something about you that nobody knows or it surprises people or something like that. And I think I said that I'm a black belt in karate because legit, like when I say it, people don't even, like, they hands down think I'm lying. They don't even think, they're not even like surprised, they just think I'm lying about it. So I included that in the video. But the other thing was, why do you think you're good for the role? And I pretty much just said like, I'm hospitable, I'm communicative, I can talk to people, I'm not afraid to like approach people, and I feel like I'm approachable myself. And so yeah, that's the kind of main key points for the role anyway, so those are the kind of points that I kept reiterating in the video. So as you can tell, I went through to the next stage, which was the interview, and it was kind of more like a group assessment. There was like 3 sections of scenarios where we got as a group a set of cards where we just ordered them in the perfect order that we thought it would be in reaction to like a scenario. I think one of them was, what would you do if somebody fainted in front of you and there was a crowd that was walking in the same way. It was just like stressful scenarios and what you would do to react to them. So it was kind of like a normal interview. So I got the job. I got like 4 hours of training on some Saturday, and they trained us to use the earpieces. That's another division between the general admission section and the Club Wembley section. On Club Wembley you have to use earpieces, and the kind of reason behind it, why we get earpieces and general admission get just walkie-talkies, is she used an example because David Beckham comes into the stadium a lot, as you can imagine, and his family. They said, would you want David Beckham to be standing next to you while she got a walkie-talkie phone call saying that the toilet's flooded? So they were like, we'd prefer you to have it in an earpiece. So that's another one thing they trained us on. They just gave us scenarios, and yeah, it was quite fun. But that was kind of it for actually applying, getting the job and everything like that. The shifts, I've got some notes down here so I can remember everything I wanted to say. So there are 2 kinds of shifts. The main one that I do is called protocol, and that basically means I stand outside on the main Club Wembley entrance and I welcome people in, and there's something called soft search, which you can guess from the name. I just vaguely check people's tickets to see if it says Club Wembley, and I welcome them in. You also just ask normal questions like, how was your day today? Are you excited for the game, whatever event it is? Who are you looking to win? If it's not obvious on them already, or I don't know, you make jokes to people. You're generally very, very communicative and talkative, and you just make them feel comfortable, because a lot of the time for events people are dressed really formally. There are some people in the queues who just feel a bit uncomfortable because they feel like they're in the posh section of the stadium, but it's our job to make sure everybody feels comfortable. Speak to everybody equally, make sure everyone feels like they're at home, and that's kind of our job. So the second kind of shift is actually inside the stadium. So the people have already been welcomed in, and pretty much what I do is I roam the floor. So as you can imagine, a stadium is a circle, and I basically walk around that circle. Obviously, like, there's a few people around, so I don't walk all the way around, but anyway, I basically cover the floor and make sure I'm visible, so people feel the need to, not feel the need to, but they feel like they can come up to me and ask me questions about whatever they need to ask. I'll talk about my uniform later, but I'm wearing like this huge yellow jacket that says "Here to Help" on it, so I'm literally just like a walking information point. So yeah, that's what I do when you're that's the other kind of shift. If you're not roaming the floor, you're inside the information booth, so you're with a computer and you check the lost property, you take people's buggies in, you take phone calls from the other side of the stadium to see if they need anything. You've got wheelchairs at the ready if people need it. There are a lot of things in the information booth. Actually, there's a little bit more in the information booth than just walking around, but in general you are an information point in yourself, so you're just providing answers to people who need it. So yeah, that's pretty much the 2 shifts. So one thing that I was asked about recently was who have you met whilst you're on the job, because obviously working at Wembley Stadium, it means that you work at pretty big events. I worked at a lot of things, I'm not even going to start on them. Like, a lot of people have asked me about the Anthony Joshua and Klitschko fight, and honestly that is where I met the most famous people. That, like, there was literally like 20 people who I met, and I can't even remember half the names, but I remember a few of them. One of them, which wasn't the boxing fight, was Mo Vlogs. I met Mo Vlogs and his mum, and it was so weird. Like, I checked the vlog a few days later, and it was actually my friend who was in it. He basically filmed whilst he was inside because he got flown in, I think, with Emirates, and Emirates was sponsoring the event. So yeah, I'll link the vlog down below because my friend Francesco is in the background, so it's great. I listed this to my friends, so I'm going to listen to you now. There was Dynamo, there was KSI, that was another time. He was with some random girl. I think he was really trying to be hidden because he had his hood up. Everyone in Club Wembley, by the way, they dress like really fancy, so they wear like their best clothes ever, and he was just wearing like jogging bottoms, hood up, like he was really trying not to be seen. That was another person I saw. Jamie Redknapp, yeah, he was one. Gareth Southgate, he was the England manager, not was, he is. AP McCoy, he's a jockey. Peter Andre, everyone knows who that is. Frank Bruno, ex-boxer if you didn't know. Eamon Holmes, Mo Vlogs, like I said. And there was this one guy, this reminded me now. So there's this one guy who was, I think his name's Loren. I will link like a Google Images picture of him down below. But he, it was a bad situation with him. He wanted me to take him to B2 security, and B2 security is where people go if they're like mascots and they need to go in and get their accreditation, or that's why like staff go in, like that's where I leave my job. So when he said that, I was like, okay. But he was getting mobbed, like he was getting mobbed by everyone asking for photos, paparazzi, like that's another part of our job. If there's someone getting mobbed like that, they're obviously famous, then you need to take them out of the situation. So I said, oh sir, I'll take you this way, and so I brought him towards like the entrance which I thought he was going to go through, which is the Royal Box entrance, and he was like, no, B2 security. I was like, okay, weird, but I'll take you there. So I was taking him there, and he was getting papped, like I was in the photos, so I had to move out of the photos. But anyway, I was taking him there, and then as soon as we got there, he started complaining. He was like, I didn't tell you B2 security, I told you B2 main reception. I said, am I deaf? It was really weird because he just got rude really quickly, but he was really pissed off at me in the end. Like, he gave me the dirtiest look once I left. But it's part of the job. Not all of the famous people are nice, but I didn't even know who the guy was, so it wasn't that big of a deal. There are a lot of other people. There are a lot of like footballers' wives who I've spoken to because they've asked me like, where can I put this, or stuff like that. But I honestly don't know a lot of these people. Now I know that's going to annoy people because it's annoyed some of my friends, but still. I'm sorry I don't know many more, but those are the sort of list of names that I can give. So pros and cons of the job. There's way more pros than there is cons, and I'm not even just saying that. So the pro, I would say, a lot of people are actually asking about the pay. The pay is £9.50 an hour. I think that's actually really good pay for it, because once you actually get used to the shifts, it's really easy. I absolutely love it, and when I love something, I don't feel like it's a job. So it's great. I don't know. It's also good for like our age group, because I mean, the average, I think the minimum wage for our age group is like something stupid like £4. And I'm like, mind blown. But yeah, good pay. It's a fun job, so I feel like I should be paid way less for it, but it's great. It's great. Second thing, the people who I work with are so nice. They are hands down like the biggest group of people who are actually also nice, because obviously I've worked in other places. I worked in Tommy Hilfiger, I worked in Boots, I worked in Hollister, and all of these places I found like a small group of people who I actually like. But literally the group I work with, there are so many different groups that you meet, and so many people you meet like on every single shift that you go to, but everyone is so nice. Like Wembley has done an amazing job of picking really nice people to work with, because I just feel at home with these guys. Like my protocol team are just like my G's. Like there's Albert, my supervisor, it's a great man, there's Eleanor, there's Dimitri, there's Scott, there's Fraser, there's Francesca, like I said earlier. Like the list is endless. Like everyone is so nice to speak to. It's really nice to also get to know people that are from different parts of London, because sometimes it is a bit restricting going to like the nearby school or like nearby workplaces. Another thing is that it's really team oriented, so if there is someone that's like really getting at you at work, like your team has got your back. So like there's been different situations where like a guy has tried to like try too much onto me or like another girl who's working, and like Albert, the supervisor, is like, excuse me sir, and it's like there's a lot of nice people on the team that really have your back, and we all are like together, so it's really nice. Another thing is that it's really nice to be able to like go to that event, because I mean, depending on your shift, you can pretty much watch the event. Like last weekend, I mean, I wasn't that interested in it to be honest, but it was the women's FA Cup final I think, and I was just watching it from the TV, and that was quite cool. But if not, you can literally just sort of peek through if you can. I mean, you are working, so obviously there's a limit to that, but it's quite cool to be able to have the opportunity to maybe sometimes do that. That's not always the case though. Like Anthony Joshua fight, I couldn't actually watch it at all, because the stadium literally could have sold twice over, my manager said. So it was way too busy for us to like even after our shift go and watch from the sidelines. That the stewards were really strict that day, but sometimes if you make friends with stewards, they might let you just watch for a little bit, so it's actually not always bad. It was just that one time. There aren't really any cons that are super big, but like I said before, there are a few really not nice guests that come in and they are just complete assholes that you have to just deal with. But like I said, like that's fixable because you have your team on with you and you don't really feel like you're alone in whatever situation you have. And if you don't actually know an answer, like I used to be really embarrassed if I was working in let's say Boots and it was like my first or second shift and I didn't know something, I feel really embarrassed to be like, oh sorry, I'm just gonna go ask my colleague. Whereas on this job I've never really felt embarrassed to just go up to like my supervisor or another colleague to just ask, oh what's the answer to this, because I don't know, it's a huge stadium, so it's not easy to know everything. Like if somebody asked me where block 241 is on my first shift, I would have never had a clue. But I just went and asked my supervisor and I don't really feel embarrassed about that because I think it's the stuff that basically my point is the cons are fixable. They're not really big deals. It's all good. Other than that, I honestly don't have much else to say. I really like this job, and I'm not even saying that for the benefit of anything really. No one really knows about me doing YouTube there, so it doesn't really change anything. I just absolutely love this job. It's so fun to be able to go every weekend, some weekends. It's also really flexible. I forgot to mention that before. It's really flexible, so if you can't work a shift, you can just say no to it. Please let me know what other videos you'd like to see in the comments down below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.